Owls fans, and welcome to the historic Chrysler Arena in Newcastle, Indiana. Our Lady Owls take on the Trojans of Newcastle.
Starting lineup now for the Lady Trojans, the 5'7" sophomore libero.
Currently being challenged tonight as the Newcastle Trojans currently ranked second in 3A. They're led in attacking by the sisters, Shaftmaster sisters.
A 6-foot freshman middle hitter,
Melanie and Margaret. Melanie and Mayberry.
Freshman defensive specialist, number 16.
They leading the attacking with 316 and 274 kills on the year. Shaftmasters also lead in serving with 80 and 65 aces on the year. Blocking is led by Hanning with 74 blocks on the year, and Wilkinson with 67. Cox is the defensive specialist, 443 digs. And Center Shaftmaster leads the team with assists with 619. Owls will meet in the middle. Owls coming off of a 2-2 weekend at Warsaw Invitational, where they beat Northrop and Rochester and fell to Warsaw as well as the number 1 ranked Bishop Dwanger. And we'll have our starting lineup here very shortly. Al's getting ready. Quickly run through all of our sponsors. Star Insurance, O'Neill & Associates, Savage's Ale House, Meeks Mortuary, Fred and Diana Palmer, State Farm Insurance, Wendy Meyer, Flula Rowe, Doug Meyer with State Farm Insurance, Texas Roadhouse, Prime Trust Financial Federal Credit Union, Once Upon a Child, Creek Run Environmental Engineering, Rod Cross with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Moe's Southwest Grill, Bear Winkle Frozen Yogurt, Central Indiana Orthopedics, Marty Grill, and of course, Gaddis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, the official sponsor of the Dodge Report. Out there for the Owls will be my Mikkel Ivey, Chloe McGrew, Daisy Carmichael, Felice Garrett, Katie Scott, and Lauren Nagel. Trojans one to serve, and Melanie Shaftmaster back to serve. Dug up by Garrett, McGrew, and tipped over by Ivy. Landing inbounds, and the Owls score first.
On the point, side up Owls. J.C. Coombs into the Trojan back row.
So Garrett back to serve. And that sails out of bounds, and that'll tie us up at 1 point apiece.
Cecily Jester to serve.
Cecily Jester serving for Newcastle. Scott to McGrew. Ivy with the slide. Shaftmaster. And she splits the defenders. And that's a point for the Trojans. Newcastle serve out of bounds, and we're tied at 2. Annie Elvin enters the lineup for the Owls. Laura Nagel back to serve for the Owls. Into the block, and point for the Owls. Nagel clears the net. There's the set. Outside swing, down the line, out of bounds. Point to the Owls. Owls now lead 4-2. Nagel back to serve again. Short serve. Shaftmaster with the attack. Dug up by Scott. McGrew to Ivy. Tipped over. Shaftmaster across court. Garrett's there. McGrew. Ivy into the block. Yeah! Newcastle can't cover. Point to the Owls. Now open up a 3-point lead. 5-2. Off the block, and the Owls can't get it over.
Burris headed to the front row.
Conway back to serve for Newcastle.
Mabry Shaftmaster also into the back row. Conway to serve.
Scott McGrew tips it over. And that falls on the hardwood. That's a point for the Owls. They lead 6-3. Mia Morrison enters the layup for the Owls. Michael Ivy will be back to serve. Shaftmaster serves over. Nagel tips it up, but it goes out of bounds.
Shaftmaster back to serve.
Melanie Shaftmaster back to serve for the Trojans. Into the net. Point to the Owls. They lead 7-4 early in this first set. Chloe McGrew back to serve. Short serve. Outside attack. And
Master to the back corner.
that freezes the defenders and point to Newcastle. Owls leading 7-5. Nagel digs it up. McGrew. Garrett sends it back. Down the line.
Chester to the back row.
And that's tipped out of bounds by the Owls. And the Trojans have closed within one. Nagel to Ivy to Garrett. Outside.
Shaftmaster with a kill.
And that was Shaftmaster with the kill down the line. And we're all tied up at 7. Cox back to serve again. Garrett to McGrew. Elvin set sails out of bounds.
Goes long. Point Trojans.
Trojans take the lead now, 8-7. Owls looking for a side out. Garrett to McGrew. Roll shot from Elvin. Into the block.
Out of bounds off the block.
And that falls out of bounds. That's a point
Timeout.
for the Trojans. And they've taken the lead, 9-7. And with that, Coach Dodge takes a timeout. I'd like to thank Wendy Meyer of Row, providing comfy and affordable clothing for all shapes and sizes of women. Where fashion meets comfort. Row, Wendy Meyer on Facebook. Creek Run Environmental Engineering, taking pride in what they do with 24 years of service. Find them at creekrun.com. Berrywinkle Frozen Yogurt with 14 flavors of frozen yogurt and more than 50 toppings. Berrywinkle is the best place for dessert in Muncie. And finally, Fred and Diana Palmer with State Farm Insurance. I want to thank all our sponsors, and please remember to thank them and tell them you heard about them on the Cube. Owls trailing 9-7. Cox continuing to serve for the Trojans. Nagel handles it to McGrew. Morrison sends it in the middle of the court. And a free ball. And that sails out of bounds. And there's a point to the Owls. Now only trailing 1. Carmichael returns the lineup. And Elvin back to the service line for the Owls. ball handling error on the Trojans, and we're all tied up at 9. Alvin back to serve. Catch, and that lands on the line. And that's a point for Newcastle, and they take the lead, 10-9.
Hanning to serve.
Hanning back to serve for Newcastle. Tip by Nagel. Morrison runs it down, and miscommunication by the Owls leads to a Newcastle point. They lead by 2, 11-9. Nagel to McGrew. Garrett. Sent right back. McGrew, Garrett. Morrison sends it over. Chapmaster tips it up. It'll be a free ball from Cox. Nagel back to McGrew. Morrison sends it in. And there's a kill. The Owls are within 1. Katie Scott returns to the lineup.
Katie Scott in to serve.
Cross-court attack. McGrew. Nagel sets the out of system. Garrett. And that moves in the net.
Set up Trojans.
That's a point to the Trojans.
Chapmaster to serve.
Trojans leading 12-10. Scott. McGrew. Ivy with the kill.
Ivy on the kill. Side out Owls. Garrett to serve.
Garrett back to serve. Owls trailing by 1, 12-11. And that falls out of bounds.
Side out Trojans. Cecily Chester back to serve.
That gives them a 2-point lead. Owls can't have too many errors on this, whether hitting or serving, against a good team. Nagel to McGrew. The slide from Ivy, tipped over the block. And the Trojans can't get there. Point to the Owls. Owls hanging tough with the Trojans tonight.
Open to the front row. Nagel to serve.
Nagel back to serve. Trailing by 1. Roll shot, Garrett to McGrew. Alvin with the swing. Roll shot, and the Owls can't get there.
Excellent kill to the back row.
Owls trailing by 2, 14-12. Number 4, Zoe Conway back to serve. Service error gives the side out to the Owls.
Chapmaster into the back row. Ivy to serve.
Michael Ivy back to serve for the Owls. Trailing by 1.
Side out Trojans.
Another costly service there for the Owls.
Chapmaster serving.
Melanie Schaffmaster to serve. And that goes out of bounds. And we're trading service errors right now. McGrew back to serve. Hopefully she can
serve.
Short serve. Schaffmaster to get down.
Chapmaster on the kill.
Out of bounds, into the stands, and that's a point for Newcastle. They now lead by 2, 16-14. Oh, officials timeout. Service error, an easy point for the Owls. Carmichael returns to the front row for the Owls. Alvin back to serve. Another service there.
Set up Trojans. Wilkinson into the front row. Marissa handing to serve.
Handing back to serve for Newcastle. Morrison, and that tipped out about. Another point for Newcastle. They have a 3-point lead, 18-15. Want to thank Meeks Mortuary for serving all of Delaware County with sensitivity, compassion, and respect since 1844. A family-owned and operated business. Our staff is composed of your neighbors and friends. Doug Meyer with State Farm Insurance at 318 Parkview Drive in Newcastle. Being a good neighbor is about more than being there when things go completely wrong. It's for all life moments. Contact Doug for all your auto, home, property, and life insurance needs. Find him at dougismyagent.com. And Texas Roadhouse. Enjoy a little bit of Texas right here in Muncie. Handing back to serve for the Trojans. Owls trailing by 3, 18-15. Corsair gives the point to the Owls. Katie Scott enters the lot. And double hit by Newcastle gives the point to the Owls. Owls have closed within 1, 18-17. Scott digs it up to McGrew. Carmichael off the block. Point for the Owls. And the Owls have tied it at 18 points apiece. Low fast serve from Scott. Free ball sent over. Ivy. Oh!
Mabry Chefmaster of it.
And Chefmaster tips that down. And that gives a point and the lead back to the Trojans. Chefmaster. And that's an ace for Newcastle. Mayberry Chefmaster to serve. Nagel dives for it, but can't get there in time. Owls now trail by 3 again, 21-18. Nagel digs that one up, and that goes out of bounds. Owls trail by 4, 22-18.
Net violation.
Net violation on the Owls gives a point to the Trojans, now leading by 5, 23-18. Out of bounds.
Chefmaster to serve. Set point.
Be set point as they lead 24-18. That one falls out of. Oh. And the up judge overrules the line judge, and that's the end of the first set. As the Trojans go on a 7-point run at the end to finish off the Owls, 25-18. We'll be back shortly for the beginning of the second set. Welcome back, Owls fans. As we get ready for the second set, Owls fell to the Trojans, 18-25. They were right with them, tied at 18, and then Trojans went on a 7-point serving run to finish the set. Katie Scott back to serve. Into the block, Nagel recovers. Garrett sends it over. Middle attack, and that landed.
Nicole Wilkinson on the point.
Said it landed inbounds, but that seemed like it was pretty far out. That was more out than the one that they overruled. Nagel to Ivy. Garrett rolls it over the net. And that'll be a point for the Owls.
Garrett serving.
Owls tied 1-1. Khalees Garrett back to serve. Tipped over, Scott's there. McGrew tips it, and that's going to be a double hit for the Owls, and that'll give the point to the Trojans. They lead now 2-1. Conway back to serve. Garrett, McGrew, back set to Ivy. Send it down the line, and that's good for the kill. Laura Nagel back to serve for Owls. That's an ace for Nagel. Nagel serve. Tipped over by Shaftmaster, and
Master with a tip. Shaftmaster.
Owls can't get there. Shaftmaster to serve. Garrett to McGrew. Free ball sent over by Scott. Middle attack. Garrett digs it up. McGrew. Ivy sends it back, and that's
attack goes long. Point Trojan.
Goes out of bounds. Shaftmaster back to serve again. Just close the net, and that'll be an ace for the Trojans. They now lead 5-3. Garrett, McGrew tips it over, and into the net. Point to the Owls. Owls trailing by 1, 5-4. Mia Morrison enters the lineup. Michael Ivy back to serve. That's an ace for Ivy. And we're tied up at 5. Low fast serve from Ivy. Outside attack. And tipped by the Owls, and that's going to be a point for Newcastle. They retake the lead, 6-5. Garrett to McGrew. Elvin into the block. Ivy covers McGrew. Morrison sends it back, and that's a kill for Morrison.
Chloe McGrew to serve.
Owls tied up at 6. McGrew back to serve. Short serve from McGrew. Punched over. Elvin to McGrew. Pushed over by Ivy. The swing. McGrew digs it up. Garrett sends it over. It's a swing. Tipped out of bounds.
Chester. Another kill to the back row.
That point goes to Newcastle.
Up front.
Now leading 7-6. Hanning back to serve. Nagel to McGrew. Elvin into the block. And Owls are there, but they tip it out of bounds. Trojans now lead by 2, 8-6. Nagel, McGrew, Garrett with the swing for the kill.
Felice Garrett on the kill. Side out Burris. And Elvin to serve.
Carmichael returns to the lineup. Elvin back to serve for the Owls. Free ball sent over. Ivy to McGrew. Garrett with the roll shot. Tipped over. Garrett's there. McGrew. Back row attack from Ivy. And that's good for the kill. And we're tied up at 8 points apiece. Elvin serves over. Ivy to McGrew. Morrison off the block. Block, and that's going to land out of bounds.
Chapmaster on the kill.
And the Trojans retake the lead, 9-8. Schaffmaster back to serve. Flips the net. Nagel digs it up. McGrew. Garrett with the swing. Into the block. Morrison and Garrett. Point to the Owls.
J.C. Coombs into the Trojan lineup. Katie Scott in the serve for the
Katie
Owls.
Scott enters the lineup and she'll serve for the Owls. As we're tied up at 9. Tipped over. And the Owls can't get there. They retake the lead, 10-9. Serve from the Trojans, Scott to McGrew. Ivy into the block.
Chapmaster on the block.
That's a point for Newcastle. They now lead 11-9. Nagel to Scott. Carmichael, but that's going to go wide.
Attack goes long. Point Trojans.
Another point for Newcastle. They now lead 12-9. Owls need a side out. Nagel and
Double hit.
double hit. And with that, Coach Dodge takes a timeout as the Owls trail by 4, 13-9. Thank Prime Trust Financial Federal Credit Union for their sponsorship, where your stories matter. The largest credit union in Muncie with 3 locations at West Bethel, South Madison, and North Broadway. Central Indiana Orthopedics, specializing in joint replacement, physical medicine and rehabilitation, pediatric orthopedics, and sports medicine. They're located 3600 West Bethel, Mardi Grill, serving the best Egyptian food in Muncie. Stop in for lunch, dinner, coffee, and drinks. They're good for groups, dine-in, or takeout. Find them at Mardi Grill on Facebook or 2144 West White River Boulevard, Muncie. And as we return, Owls trail 13-9. Trojans will be back to serve. Scott to McGrew, and that's missed time by Owls. That'll be a point to Newcastle. They've opened up a 5-point lead, 14-9. Nagel, McGrew, Ivy, that one's timed right. Back row attack, Scott to McGrew. Ivy again. And down the line into the corner. Point for Newcastle. Now leading by 6. Owls are stuck on 9 and can't get off. Nagel McGrew, Ivy with the quick set, and that'll get him off a 9. Garrett will go back to serve.
Release Garrett to serve.
Owls need to put together a little run to stay in this second set. Check goes long, point for the Owls. They now lead, or trail, 15-11. Garrett to serve again. Service error on the Owls. Gives a 5-point lead. Back to the Trojans.
To the front row.
Conway back to serve for Newcastle. Scott to McGrew. Ivy on the slide. And that's good for the kill.
Cross-court kill.
Annie Elvin enters the lineup. Laura Nagel back to serve. Shout out to her mom and my wonderful wife watching us tonight. Into the block. Trojans recovered. Swing again, and Owls can't get there down in the corner. It's a kill for the Trojans. They're back to a 5-point lead.
Melody Chefmaster to serve.
Owls trailing 17-12. Garrett to McGrew. Ivy. And the block just lands in the bounce. Point to the Trojans. Owls now trail by 6, 18-12. Scott, McGrew, Ivy again. Nagel, Scott dives on the floor, diving in. And that's a kill for Newcastle. Now leading 19-12. Schaffmaster to serve. Nagel. McGrew tips it over.
Chloe McGrew on the tip.
That's a point for the Owls. Mia Morrison enters the lineup for the Owls.
Into the front row. Ivy to serve.
Michael Ivy back to the service line as the Owls trail by 6. Tipped over. Nagel's there. McGrew sets it up. Elvin sends the free ball over. There's the swing and splits to the defenders.
To the back line.
And that's a point for the Trojans. They're back to a 7-point lead, 20-13. And that lands out of bounds. Point to the Owls. McGrew back to serve.
Chloe McGrew to serve. Side out Trojans.
Service there.
Burris Hemming to serve.
And that gives an easy point to the Trojans. Henning serves handled by Nagel to McGrew. Morrison sends it across court. High pass and free ball sent over. Ivy. McGrew. Elvin with the swing. Cross court track and Owls can't get there.
Chester on the kill.
And Newcastle opens up an 8-point lead. 22-14. And Coach Dodge wants to take time out to talk about it. I want to thank Star Insurance, committed to serving the needs of our communities by helping protect, help people protect what matters most, both professionally and personally. Located at 400 North High Street, Muncie. Savage's Ale House, serving Savage's signature sandwiches, burgers, and beer. Find the complete menu at Facebook on Savage's Ale House or stop in at 127 North High Street, Muncie. Gaddis Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the official sponsors of the Dodge post-game report. serve for Newcastle as they lead 22-14. Ivy to McGrew. Garrett tips it over the block. Cross-court attack. And that's the back of the court. And point to Newcastle, leading 23-14. And there's an ace. And that's a 10-point lead for Newcastle.
Set point.
The set point for Newcastle. Short serve handled by Ivy. McGrew back to Ivy. Off the block. Al still alive.
And Elvin to serve.
Elvin back to serve. Dish to Carmichael enters the front row. Elvin serve. There's the set. Cross court goes all along. Point for the Owls. Still trailing by 8. And service error ends the second set, 25-16.
2 sets to
Leading 2-0. And we'll be back for the third set here shortly. Welcome back, Owls fans, as we get ready to start the third set. Owls are down 2-0. Hoping to come back in this third set. Kind of been the same story as all year. Hitting and serving errors have put the Owls out of reach of winning the match. See if they can clean it up and win in this third set.
You may bring Chefmaster with the honors.
Chefmaster will be back to serve. Into that. Point for the Owls.
Kelly's Garrett to serve.
Senior Khalees Garrett, number 22, back to serve for the Owls. Cross-court attack into the block. That was Ivy and Carmichael with the block. Roll shot. Garrett handles it to McGrew. Ivy. And she puts it down for the kill. Owls take a 2-0 lead. Freshman Rosie Brecken enters the lineup. Brecken serve and set. Cross court. Oh, off the block.
Chester on the kill. Sign up, Trojans.
Just out of bounds. Point to the Owl, or point to the Trojans. And that's their first point of the second set, or third set. Owls still leading 2-1. Scott to McGrew. Slide to Ivy into the block. Scott's there. McGrew sends it over. Chefmaster and Carmichael's there with the block. Roll shot goes out of bounds. Point to the Owls. They now lead 3-1.
Lauren Nagel to serve.
Annie Elvin enters the front row, and Lauren Nagel will be back to serve. Tipped over and finds an open point on the court. That's a point for the Trojans. They still trail 3-2. Conaway back to serve. Nagel to McGrew. Ivy. Block. Ivy and McGrew there. Ivy with the solo block. Tipped over the block. Garrett's there. McGrew tips it up. Back row attack from Scott, and that's going to sail out of bounds. And that'll tie us up at 3. Tie us up at 3. Conway back to serve again. Scott, McGrew, Ivy on the slide. Elvin pushes it back over. Tipped over the block. Garrett's there.
Net violation.
And net call on Newcastle gives a point to the Owls. They now lead 4-3.
Morrison into the front row. Ivy to serve.
Michael Ivy back to serve. Rolls over the net. Side tag dug up by Nagel. McGrew. Garrett pushes it over. Off the block. Nagel's there. McGrew. Elvin with the swing. Tipped out of bounds.
And the Elvin on the kill.
Point to the Owls. Now leading 5-3. Ivy serve. Nagel handles McGrew. Elvin off the block. Out of bounds. Another point for the Owls. Now leading 6-3.
Timeout.
And with that, the Trojans take a timeout as the Owls open up a 6-3 lead. I want to thank Texas Roadhouse. Legendary food, legendary service, all with lots of legendary fun. Call ahead seating at 765-282-7113. Enjoy a little bit of Texas right here in Muncie. Prime Trust Financial Federal Credit Union, where your story matters, offering a variety of consumer and personal financial products and services. Once upon a child, they buy and sell gently used kids' clothing, shoes, toys, and baby gear. Get paid on the spot at West McGalliard. And as we return to the action, Ivy will be back to serve as the Owls lead 6-3. Shaftmaster, Garrett digs it up. McGrew, Morrison sends it over. Free ball. Garrett, McGrew, Elvin with the swing. Pushed outside, Ivy to McGrew. Back row attack from Ivy. Nagel digs this one up. McGrew, back row attack, into the block. And that's a point for the Trojans off of a long rally there. Some good play from the Owls. Still leading 6-4. Serve goes on. Point for the Owls. They're back to a 3-point lead. 7-4. Chloe McGrew back to serve. Off the ball, tipped out of bounds.
Maverick Shotmaster with a kill. Sign up Trojans.
Owls still leading 7-5.
Bailey Cox in this serve.
Number 16, Bailey Cox back to serve. Service there gives the point to the Owls.
And the Elvin to serve.
Gates Carmichael enters the lineup in the front row. Annie Elvin back to serve. Cross court tag, dug up by Elvin, sent over, and Shaftmaster makes the Owls pay for the overpass with the hard kill. Owls still leading by 2, 8-6. Hanning back to serve. Nagel sends it to McGrew. Garrett tips it into the block. And that's another point for the Trojans. Owls holding on to a 1-point lead, 8-7.
Fans, this reminder, no flash photography allowed during play. Thank you.
Nagel, McGrew, Ivy, and that went into the net. And that'll tie us up at 8 points apiece. Tipped out of bat. Ivy saves it. Garrett sends a free ball over.
Wilkinson down the middle.
And Wilkinson with the kill. That'll give Newcastle their lead in this third set, 9-8. And that rolls over the net for an ace. Newcastle now has 2-point lead. Morrison, and can't run that down. That's another point for Newcastle. They're on a 6-point run here. Owls need a side out. Morrison to McGrew. Ivy, and another tacking error on the Owls. It's a 4-point lead. Referee's having some discussion with Captain Chloe McGrew. There's a serve, Nagel, and that's an ace. Owls now trailed by 5. Garrett to McGrew. Carmichael into the block. Nagel's there to cover. Carmichael sends a free ball over to the back row. Down the line. Out of bounds. Point to the Owls. Owls needed that side out. Katie Scott back in the serve. There's a roll shot. McGrew, Garrett, Ivy. Swing and that lands inbounds. And that's a point for the Trojans. Back to a 5-point lead, 14-9. Nagel to McGrew, Ivy with the swing. Tipped over and finds the middle of the defense. Owls trailing by 6, 15-9. Nagel to Ivy, Carmichael, and that falls out of bounds. Another point for the Trojans. They've opened up a 7-point lead, 16-9. They're on an 11-1 run, and that'll put an end to that. That'll be Owls' 10th point.
J.C. Coots returning to the Trojan back row.
Freshman Rosie Brackett in to serve. And service there.
Cecily Chester to serve.
Gives a point to the Trojans. Cross court, down the line. Out of bounds.
Last touch by the Owls. Point Trojans.
Tip called. And that's a point to the Trojans. They now lead 18-10. Scott to McGrew. Ivy. Off the block. Nagel's there. McGrew to Garrett. Or no. Check that. Ivy. Point to the Owls.
Laurie Nagel to serve.
Senior libero Laura Nagel back to serve. Short serve. Shaftmaster down the line, and that's the point.
Shaftmaster with a kill. Side out Trojans. Marissa Hammock. Into the front row, Gracie Powers also to the front row.
Trojans leading 19-11. Conway back to serve. And that's going to be an ace for Trojans. They now lead 20-11. Scott to McGrew. Ivy with the cross court. Tipped over. Scott again. McGrew. Ivy again. Dug up by Newcastle. Roll shot. And in the middle.
Shaftmaster, a little
point
roll.
To Newcastle, and they've opened up a 10-point lead. 21-11. Nagel to McGrew. And there's a kill for Ivy.
Side out Owls.
Morrison enters the lineup for Scott.
Mia Morrison into the Owls front row. Ivy to serve.
Michael Ivy back to serve. And that goes long. Point to Newcastle, and they're back to their 10-point lead.
Front row. Melanie Shaftmaster to serve.
Shaftmaster back to serve. Nagel, McGrew, Morrison, and that's
Net violation. Point Owls.
point to the Owls. Chloe McGrew back to serve. 22-13. That's out of bounds. Another point to the Owls. They trail by 8, 22-14 now. Cross court attack off the block. Out
of bounds off the block.
That'll be the 23rd point for Newcastle.
Bailey Cox to serve.
Cox back in to serve for Newcastle. Garrett to McGrew. Garrett sends it back over. There's a swing down the line. Out of bounds. Point to the Owls. Annie Elvin back to serve, and Daisha Carmichael returns to the lineup.
Daisha Carmichael to the front row.
Elvin, and Owls can't tip it over. And this will bring up match point.
In the front row, handing this to
it's the Owls trail, 15-24. Morrison, McGrew, Ivy, and that sails out of bounds.
And 25-15, and win the match 3 sets to nil.
Owls fall 25-15 in the third set and lose 3 sets to none. Quickly thank all our sponsors: Texas Roadhouse, Prime Trust Financial Federal Credit Union, Once Upon a Child, Creek Run Environmental Engineering, Rod Cross with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Moe's Southwest Grill, Barry Winkle Frozen Yogurt, Central Indiana Orthopedics, Marty Grill, Star Insurance, O'Neill and Associates, Savage's Ale House, Meeks Mortuary, Friend Diana Palmer with State Farm Insurance, Wendy Meyer with Lula Rowe, Doug Meyer with State Farm Insurance, and Gaddis Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, official sponsors of the Dodge Report, which we will have very shortly in post-game comments by Coach Dodge.
Fortunately, no Dodge Report. Couldn't catch Coach Dodge before he left. Just a quick reminder, Owls will be playing Tuesday night, senior night, against Muncie Central. Join us at 6 o'clock for the JV game. And want to thank Gaddis Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram for their sponsorship. Thank you, and see you on Tuesday night.